Hello students, in today's video I will be explaining about the South Indian expedition of Alauddin Khilji. Before going into the video, if anyone is seeing the channel without subscribing, please do subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. It will be of a great encouragement for me. Also, click the bell button to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. So without wasting time, let us move into the video. So in the last video, we have seen about the North Indian expeditions of Alauddin Khilji. So in today's video, we are going to see about Alauddin Khilji's South Indian expedition. So his achievements are divided into two, that is North Indian expedition and South Indian expedition. So North Indian we have completed in the last video. Now in this video, we are going to see the South Indian conquest of Alauddin Khilji. South Indian conquest. So here, Alauddin Khilji conquered a lot of places in North India. We first learned about the conquest of Gujarat, then we learned about Ranthambore, Mewar, and then we learned about the Mongol raids. Now in South India, there was one special feature, that is Alauddin Khilji was the first Muslim ruler who attempted the conquest of South India. So he was one of the first Muslim ruler who attempted the conquest of South India. So that was a speciality of Alauddin Khilji. And you know that in his North Indian conquest, he was supported by two generals, that is Nasrat Khan and Ulugh Khan. In the similar way, in South Indian conquest, he appointed his able general, that is his able general's name was Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur, he was appointed in his South Indian conquest. So in North Indian conquest, he was supported by Nasrat Khan and Ulugh Khan, and in his South Indian conquest, he was helped by his able general Malik Kafur. So already about Malik Kafur we have learned in his Gujarat expedition. He was purchased for 1,000 dinars, and that is why we have learned that Malik Kafur was very famous as Hazar Dinari. We have already learned this when we learned about the conquest of Gujarat. So once more, in his South Indian expedition, Alauddin Khilji was one of the first Muslim ruler to attempt the conquest of South India. For that, he appointed his able general Malik Kafur. He was known as Hazar Dinari. So that was the introduction of Alauddin Khilji's South Indian expedition. So now let us see about the first place in South India, that is expedition to Devagiri. The first place he conquered in South India, that is expedition to Devagiri. So Devagiri was the first place, and this happened in 1307 century era. So when we learned about his North Indian expedition, we have learned that by almost about 1305 century era, he has completed his North Indian expedition, and the first expedition in South India happened in 1307 century era, that is in Devagiri. Now the king of Devagiri. Now let us see who was the king of Devagiri. King of Devagiri was Ramachandra Deva. Ramachandra Deva was the king of Devagiri. Now he had given shelter to Karna Deva. So Ramachandra Deva had given shelter to Karna Deva. Now you have to go back to the Gujarat conquest. In Gujarat conquest, we have already studied that the king of Gujarat, Karna Deva, he ran away with his daughter Devala Devi to Devagiri. So when they reached Devagiri, there they were given help, or they were given shelter by King Ramachandra Deva. And afterwards, you know that Alauddin Khilji married Karna Deva's wife, that is Kamla Devi. So this King Ramachandra Deva had given shelter to Karna Deva and his daughter Devala Devi. One more problem that Alauddin Khilji had with Ramachandra Deva was that he did not pay the annual tribute for almost 3 years. So King Ramachandra Deva first thing is he gave shelter to Karna, and he did not pay tribute for almost 3 years. That was another problem between Ramachandra Deva and Alauddin Khilji. So Alauddin sent his able general, that is Malik Kafur. So Malik Kafur was sent by Alauddin Khilji. Malik Kafur with almost 30,000 soldiers. 30,000 soldiers went to attack Ramachandra Deva. So Malik Kafur, along with 30,000 soldiers, came to attack King Ramachandra Deva, and Ramachandra Deva was defeated. Malik Kafur was very strong, and they defeated Ramachandra Deva. So King Ramachandra Deva of Devagiri was defeated. Ramachandra Deva. So this was what happened in Devagiri. So Devagiri, the king was King Ramachandra Deva. Alauddin Khilji's expedition to Devagiri happened in 1307 century era, and the problem with King Ramachandra Deva was he gave shelter to Karna Deva and his daughter Devala Devi, and also he did not pay tribute for 3 years. Malik Kafur went there with 30,000 soldiers, defeated King Ramachandra Deva. After they defeated King Ramachandra Deva, what did Alauddin Khilji do? Alauddin Khilji asked his eldest son, that is Alauddin Khilji's eldest son, that is a son's name we have already studied, that is Khizer Khan. He married Devala Devi. Okay, so Devala Devi was captured and his son Khizer Khan married Devala Devi. So Khizer Khan married Devala Devi. Why? Because Alauddin Khilji has already married Devala Devi's mother, that is Kamla Devi is already married to Alauddin Khilji. Now he has defeated Ramachandra Deva and captured Devala Devi. So Devala Devi was married to Khizer Khan, that is Alauddin Khilji's eldest son. So this was what happened in the conquest of or expedition to Devagiri. Now let us see the points once more. Alauddin Khilji's South Indian expedition. He was the first Muslim ruler to attempt the conquest of South India. He appointed his able general Malik Kafur for the southern campaign. And first was the expedition to Devagiri, which happened in 1307 century era. King of Devagiri, Ramachandra Deva, had given shelter to Karna Deva and his daughter Devala Devi. Ramachandra Deva had not paid the annual tribute for 3 years. Alauddin sent Malik Kafur against Devagiri with an army of 30,000 soldiers. Ramachandra Deva was defeated and Devala Devi was captured. Alauddin's son Khizer Khan married her, and it is said that Ramachandra Deva also agreed to pay the annual tribute. Whatever tribute he had not paid for 3 years, he agreed to pay the annual tribute. So that was the first expedition of Alauddin Khilji in South India. See, now let us see the second expedition, that is after Devagiri. The second was the Warangal Expedition. Warangal Expedition. So the Warangal Expedition, it happened in 1309 century era. The Warangal Expedition, second South Indian expedition, it happened in 1309 century era. So the king of Warangal was King Prataparudradeva. So the king of Warangal was just correct the spelling. Okay, so the king of Warangal, his name was King Prataparudradeva. So naturally Alauddin Khilji wanted to conquer the place, and he sent Malik Kafur again, and he gave the instruction, go attack and defeat Prataparudradeva. So Malik Kafur marched to Warangal, and seeing Malik Kafur coming only, Prataparudradeva was forced to surrender. He was forced to surrender. and so that was very easy achievement for Malik Kafur. And after being defeated, Malik Kafur took a lot of riches from Warangal. It is said that he took a golden statue of King Prataparudradeva. The golden statue of the king was there. That was taken by Malik Kafur, and he took 100 elephants from Warangal, and also almost 7,000 horses were taken, and so many other and large quantities of gold, silver, jewelry, money, everything was taken away from Warangal to Delhi by Malik Kafur. So this was what happened in Warangal Expedition. Warangal Expedition happened in 1309 century era. The king of Warangal was Prataparudradeva. Malik Kafur marched towards Warangal, and Prataparudradeva was forced to surrender. After that, he took a lot of riches from Warangal, that is golden statue of the king, 100 elephants, 7,000 horses, and a large quantity of gold and silver jewels and money were taken by Malik Kafur to Delhi from Warangal. So this is what happened in the Warangal expedition of Alauddin Khilji. So that was the second expedition in South India. Now the third expedition was Conquest of Dwarasamudra. So the third one, Conquest of Dwarasamudra. It happened in 1310 century era. So Conquest of Dwarasamudra. So now Malik Kafur attacked Dwarasamudra. Dwarasamudra, as you all know, is Halebedu. So Malik Kafur, again, his all Alauddin Khilji South Indian expedition was done by Malik Kafur. So now Malik Kafur, he went and attacked Dwarasamudra. Alauddin Khilji has ordered him to go and attack, and he had attacked Dwarasamudra. And Dwarasamudra was ruled by King Veera Ballala. Dwarasamudra king was Veera Ballala III. Veera Ballala III was the king of Dwarasamudra. So Malik Kafur went and attacked Veera Ballala III. The king could not defend the attack. That is, it was a sudden attack. The king Veera Ballala III did not even expect the attack. It was such a sudden attack, and the king could not defend it. And naturally, after defeating, the capital was looted. The capital was looted. The place was looted, and you know that Halebedu is famous for temples. So what happened was, after looting the capital, Malik Kafur, he axed a lot of temples. That is, he looted the place, that is one thing, and destroyed a number of temples. Axed the temple means he destroyed a number of temples. And Veera Ballala III, that is the king of Dwarasamudra, had to surrender a huge amount of money and had to pay an annual tribute to the Sultan. So he agreed to pay an annual tribute. It is a kind of fine. The king Veera Ballala III agreed to pay an annual tribute to the Sultan. So the third conquest is the conquest of Dwarasamudra. In 1310 century era, Dwarasamudra, also called as Halebedu, the king was Veera Ballala III. Malik Kafur attacked Halebedu, and it was a sudden attack, and because of this, King Veera Ballala III could not defend the attack. After the attack, the capital was looted, many temples were destroyed, and the king agreed to pay an annual tribute. So this is what happened in the conquest of Dwarasamudra, which happened in 1310 century era. So that was the next conquest of Alauddin Khilji in South India. After that, I think it is the fourth conquest, that is conquest of Madurai. Conquest of Madurai. So in Madurai, what was the situation? Conquest of Madurai, it happened in 1311 century era. See, Madurai, there was a civil war happening. So a civil war was happening. It was happening between two brothers, that is Sundara Pandya and Veera Pandya. Two brothers, Sundara Pandya was one brother and one more was Veera Pandya. They were having a civil war between them. They were brothers, they were having a civil war. And naturally, when such internal conflicts happen, it is very easy for an external force to come and attack. So naturally, Malik Kafur reached the place. He attacked the place and he plundered the important towns and temples on the way to the Pandyan kingdom. So on the way only, he plundered important temples, towns, all were plundered. All the important towns and temples were plundered by Malik Kafur when he was going to the Pandyan kingdom. And it is said that Malik Kafur reached as far as Rameshwaram. So he reached as far as Rameshwaram and he destroyed the great temple there. Rameshwaram temple is very famous, and Malik Kafur destroyed the temple and instead of the temple, what he did is he built a mosque there. Instead of the temple, Malik Kafur constructed a mosque, and after that he came back with a lot of riches. So that is natural. After conquering any place, he came back with a lot of riches. That is, all the wealth was looted. So this is what happened in the conquest of Madurai. It happened in 1311th century era. So the situation in Madurai was, there was a civil war happening between two brothers, Sundara Pandya and Veera Pandya. Malik Kafur made use of the situation. All the temples and towns on the way to the Pandyan kingdom were plundered. He reached as far as Rameshwaram and destroyed the temple and built a mosque there, and he came back with all the riches. So this was what happened in the conquest of Madurai. So till now we have seen that. So after the expedition of Devagiri, next we saw is Warangal Expedition, which happened in 1309th century era. Malik Kafur marched towards Warangal and King Prataparudradeva was forced to surrender. A golden statue of the king, 100 elephants, 7,000 horses, and a large quantity of gold and silver jewels and money were carried away to Delhi by Malik Kafur. After that, in 1310th century era, conquest of Dwarasamudra happened. Malik Kafur attacked Dwarasamudra or Halebeedu, which was ruled by Veera Ballala III. The king could not defend the sudden attack by the Muslim army. The capital was looted and a number of temples were axed by Malik Kafur, and Veera Ballala III surrendered a huge amount of treasure and offered to pay annual tribute to the Sultan. After that, in 1311th century era, conquest of Madurai happened. A civil war was happening between two brothers, Sundara Pandya and Veera Pandya in Madurai. Malik Kafur plundered all the important towns and temples on the way to Pandyan kingdom. He reached as far as Rameshwaram and destroyed the great temple and built a mosque there, and he came back to Delhi in 1311th century era with rich spoils. So this is what happened in the conquest of Madurai. Now let us see the last conquest of Alauddin Khilji in South India. So Alauddin Khilji's last conquest, that is the second expedition to Devagiri. Second expedition to Devagiri. Already we know that once he had gone to Devagiri, he had defeated the ruler of Devagiri, that is Ramachandra Deva, and we know that Ramachandra Deva had agreed to pay annual tribute to Alauddin Khilji. Now let us see what was the reason why he second time went to Devagiri. This happened in 1312th century era. Okay, that is second expedition to Devagiri. The last war in South Indian expedition was against Shankara Deva of Devagiri. So now the ruler of Devagiri, the ruler of Devagiri was Shankara Deva. Shankara Deva was the ruler of Devagiri. He had withheld the tribute and tried to rule independently. Now whatever money Ramachandra Deva had agreed to pay annually, Shankar Deva did not pay. What he did was he withheld the tribute, that is, he did not pay the annual tribute to Alauddin Khilji, and he tried to rule independently. So naturally, Alauddin Khilji did not like this, and he sent his favorite general Malik Kafur, and Malik Kafur marched against Devagiri, and he very easily defeated and killed Shankara Deva. So Malik Kafur defeated, and not only he defeated and killed Shankara Deva. So that was what happened in the second expedition, and Devagiri was conquered and made a part of Delhi Empire. So Devagiri was conquered by Alauddin Khilji because the king was defeated and killed, and it was made a part of the Delhi Empire. So in the second expedition of Devagiri, 13th-12th century era, why did it happen? Because ruler Shankara Deva withheld the tribute and tried to rule independently. So Alauddin Khilji sent Malik Kafur against Devagiri. He defeated and killed Shankara Deva, and Devagiri was annexed to Delhi Empire, and so Devagiri was conquered. So this is what happened in the second expedition to Devagiri. So this was the last expedition of Alauddin Khilji to South India. Now Alauddin Khilji's empire, so he conquered a lot of places in North India as well as in South India. So let us see the extent of Alauddin Khilji's empire. So Alauddin Khilji's empire, if we see, extended from Lahore in the northern side, it extended from Lahore in the north, and Madurai in the south. We know about the conquest of Madurai in the south, and Bengal in the east, the eastern side, Bengal in the east, and Gujarat in the west. So this was how Alauddin Khilji's empire extended. So Alauddin Khilji's empire extended from Lahore in the north to Madurai in the south, Bengal in the east, and Gujarat in the west. Actually, his ambition was to conquer the whole world. Alauddin Khilji's ambition was to conquer the whole world, but he had to be satisfied by conquering almost whole of India. Even then, what he did was he issued coins with the title Alauddin Khilji's coins. He himself took the title, that is, the title is Sikandar. So Sikandar, or it is said that it is meant that Alexander too. So he himself said to be Alexander II or Sikandar, conqueror of the whole world. Even though he was not able to conquer the whole world, he conquered almost the whole of India. See, in this empire extent, we can see that his empire extended from Lahore in the north, Madurai in the south, Bengal in the east, and Gujarat in the west. His ambition was to conquer the whole world, but he had to be satisfied with conquering whole of India. And he took the title, that is, on his coins, the title was there, that is Sikandar or Alexander II. So all these were the main conquest of Alauddin Khilji in South India. So first we learned about Alauddin Khilji's conquest in North India. So if we just revise his conquest, so in North India, if we see North India, first he conquered Gujarat, the first conquest. After Gujarat, he conquered Ranthambore. Then we can see in North India he conquered Mewar. I will write here Mewar. After that, there was other conquest and a few Mongol raids. After that, in South Indian conquest, that is whatever we studied in today's video, first place he conquered Devagiri. That is, Devagiri conquest happened in 1307 century era. After that, he went for Warangal Expedition. Warangal Expedition happened in 1309 century era. After that, he went for conquest of Dwarasamudra or Halebedu. The Dwarasamudra conquest happened in 1310 century era. After that was a conquest of Madurai. Madurai conquest happened in 1311 century era, and finally it was the second expedition again to Devagiri, which happened in 1312. Sorry, it happened in almost 1312 century era. So this was the total conquest of Alauddin Khilji, that is North Indian conquest as well as South Indian conquest. So with this, his conquest was completed. He conquered almost whole of India. So after the conquest of Madurai, his second expedition to Devagiri, 1312 century era, the last war of South Indian expedition was against Shankar Deva of Devagiri. He had withheld the tribute and tried to rule independently. Malik Kafur marched against Devagiri and defeated and killed him. Devagiri was annexed to the Delhi Empire. Alauddin's empire extended from Lahore in the north to Madurai in the south and Bengal in the east to Gujarat in the west. He had an ambition to conquer the whole world, but had to be satisfied in conquering almost whole of India, and even then he issued the coin with the title Sikandar or Alexander II. So all these were the points regarding the South Indian conquest of Alauddin Khilji. So I hope you have understood all his conquests very clearly. The achievements of Alauddin Khilji is a very important question. So please go through all the points again and again. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section. And if you have liked the video, please don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you all soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.